Could possibly be our last transmission.
Or the first of 17,000 straight hours from quarantine.
That's true. Man, it could get that way. So it is March 13th when we're recording this.
Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Friday
Happy
the
birthday,
13th.
Kim Lamb.
Ah, happy birthday, Kim. Happy birthday, Kim. Shout outs to the loyal listeners. We appreciate all the good feedback. Got a new follower on Instagram, one Mikey Hoods.
Yeah. Right on.
So, Mikey, if you're listening, appreciate that follow.
Sweet.
Shwilly Z, we always appreciate you.
Always. And I will text you back before you hear this. I feel so bad. Okay. Anyways, guys, coronavirus. We haven't talked in a week.
1 week.
This wasn't even a conversation on like Sunday, dude.
Not
This
even
was
a
joke.
talking
It was a
point.
joke.
And now, what's going on? Where are we at right now? So much to say. So much to say.
Well, right, everything's
we
been
just found
canceled.
out everything's been canceled. MLB, NHL, NBA,
NASCAR.
the
Golf.
Masters, yeah.
UEFA Champions League.
Yeah, UEFA
Soccer.
champions. Yep.
The Chicago Tattoo Convention was next
Dude,
weekend,
saw that.
canceled.
Even
You were
movie
so
theater
jacked- You were so jacked for that.
movie theater movies getting suspended for later dates.
What?
Yep.
Wow, that's
Dude, when you
crazy.
started messing with Hollywood, I mean,
Yeah.
shit.
Well, all right. So this is. I was just talking about this in the car. This is what's so nuts, and I think we have a lot of backtracking to do. We definitely want to get to Event 201, which I've been telling everybody about Event 201. Man, did you listen to that propaganda report?
I listened to 7 propaganda reports
Okay.
since you sent me their link, and
Yeah.
I'm big fan.
Okay, so but I just have to get this off my chest. I was talking about it today. You got MLB canceled. You got the March Madness tournament canceled. NBA postponed. NHL postponed. These are all. This is more than a game. These are gigantic money-making machines. Especially March Madness is like a fucking Super Bowl every day for a month.
Yeah.
$400 million just to the Vegas sportsbook.
So
That's just the Vegas $400 million.
So to cancel this event,
Talking
like,
billions.
you're talking
of-
and you're talking high level hammer that's coming down saying, "Nope, sorry, fuck it." And I'm of the opinion, I don't know about you guys, it's not the virus that we need to be worried about here. It's this martial law that's coming down, and it's coming down hard. School just got canceled for Jackson. How long? Until
April 6th.
April 6th.
Yeah,
That's
we're just
public and
doing
private.
we're just doing work from home, but not the same, really. But no, half the people are probably going to do the work, anyways. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
3
even-
weeks. 3
So
weeks.
they're doing like a virtual classroom.
Virtual
type
day,
thing?
which is funny because they actually had one virtual day before the coronavirus even happened. You could maybe like government send out like an email to every single school in the United States, like, let's just do one of these virtual days for fun.
We're just gonna
Yeah,
rehearse.
funny
it.
that- funny that would
Isn't
happen.
that funny?
Funny that would
We
happen
never
right
did that
before.
before. Yeah.
Never did it before.
Huh.
And in fact, you came home from school because it was like a Tuesday. I think either on that Friday or Monday. He was like, "Oh yeah, I don't have school tomorrow. We're doing some virtual day thing, and it just means we do our work from home and we check in the next day." And I'm thinking, this dude's totally
When was it?
full of shit.
When was this,
There's
dude?
no way that this is a real thing. Like a week ago.
Yeah, a week
A
ago.
week? That was prepping.
Isn't that
That was
crazy?
full prep.
Almost as crazy as Event 201. Let's keep talking about.
Well, let's just go. Okay, so a couple hours ago, Donald Trump declared a state of emergency.
Yep.
So that was the injection, and we need to toot our own horns. We did call that as one of the possibilities on the last pod. It was that declare a state of emergency, and then they pump $50 billion into the research, the markets, the control of the virus. So that's happening now. So all this money is getting funneled back into the economy. So the economy that was tanking now has a $50 billion fucking boom right now.
Yeah, it was off like a Dow, and like many others were like up like 0.3% today, 0.5. So
Yeah.
they're barely getting.
Which is
over.
considering the fact that they were so bad yesterday that they canceled trading after
Yes,
when
yeah,
they opened.
that's how bad it was.
2 days during the coronavirus, they opened trading and canceled it because it tanked so hard. They're like, no. Like basically like you on your fucking Madden team where you fucking press reset because you've lost one game and your team is fucked. Dude, they like that's how hard it tanks. So this is happening. So it is one of the predictions. It is the boon to the economy that will inevitably happen on Monday. Monday you will see a fucking crazy uptick in the market.
You think so?
Guaranteed. Oh, you should.
Are you sure?
I watched the Trump press conference. It was fucking rainbows and unicorns and slapping hands and thank God because they had the CEOs from Walgreens, CVS, Walmart, Target, and they were all there, and they couldn't have been happier. They had the lady, this doctor who's the leader of this stuff. She brought out a flow chart, because now they're going to. Because now, like in certain Walmarts and Targets in the parking lots, they're going to set up a mobile system where people who show the certain symptoms on the flow chart that this lady showed, if you show the certain symptoms, you'll be able to pull up and they will swab you in your car. So it's a drive-through swab. They will swab you in your car, and then they will get you the test results within 24 hours. So you will just drive through this fucking thing, get swabbed, and then get your results back. But they don't want you, and Trump stressed this multiple times, they do not, if you are not showing certain symptoms, because one of the biggest things about this is that everybody's getting tested. And they're running out of fucking tests. They don't have any more fucking, all this test equipment. They don't have it anymore. So that was the other people they had, these people from Quest who make the kits and all this stuff. They had these guys in the conference as well, and they're making 5 million by tomorrow, 5 million test kits and shit. So they're gonna have drive-through testing things in like Walmart parking lots and shit. But the way they were talking about this, it wasn't what I would assume a national emergency press conference would be. It was everybody was happy, everybody was slapping hands, everybody was thanking everybody for being awesome, and it was basically just like, man, great job. Pence came on and he was like, we just want to thank Trump for his immediate response for everything, and
because
it was
it's not
terrible.
it's not about the virus, dude.
It's not.
It's not about the virus.
This was a mission fucking accomplished emergency response. Like them saying it was a national emergency was basically them saying mission fucking accomplished.
Create a problem, create the solution.
Yes.
Look like the hero.
Yep.
Create the reaction. Create. The
Do you think this was a little trial run for what's for future, how they can make the most ridiculous virus and just
Vent Tool
I
1
want-
and
was
make
the
it the
trial
I want
biggest
you to
deal.
read. Why don't you read this, Jackson? Read this. Have you heard this, Dustin? This.
What's
show
this
Dustin.
from?
Just read it.
Just read it.
Shiva?
Shot on both sides. Instagram. I grabbed it from him, but it's been floating
Okay.
around from everywhere.
Okay, the
Shiva, right?
Yep. The coronavirus cover op 2020. Get number 1. Get civilians and children off the streets, schools, and public events. Prevents cabal doing mass killings for distraction or to take revenge.
So let's break that down a little bit. Is that needed, or is that pretty?
Get the people off the streets. Yeah, schools,
Accomplished. They're
events.
accomplishing that right now.
Yes.
Right.
They're done. Check. We better check. This
Number
basically this is a
yeah.
checklist.
to prevent all the psyops of these mass shootings, distractions, this stuff.
It's almost like a cover up, like a smoke screen for what they're doing, actually. So, number 2, quarantine. Cover for mass arrests. Self-quarantine is the world leader in Hollywood celeb version of the CEO resignation.
Oh, that right there, dude.
Dude, so
Fucking Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks. What did you see? Did you? Response to
Tom
it?
Hanks basically said, "This is how you should. Everybody should react to this.
Did you
Stay
read-
calm, be cool."
Did you read his Instagram
Yes,
post?
it might as well have been a notice from the CDC.
You want to look that up real quick, dude?
Yeah,
So I see, and it was funny because I'm listening to anybody who's listening to this should definitely check out Monica Perez with the Propaganda Report
Yeah,
podcast.
they've been crushing the corona
They're giving you
coverage.
like good 30-minute blasts of what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
It's
they've been
it's super
crushing it.
interesting, and dude, she's reputable. Like she's on the radio in Atlanta. Like, but anyways, she was talking about like who's the first celebrity going down on this, and dude, it was like a next day, 2 days later after I listened to it, Tom Hanks. It's like what a perfect Hollywood poster boy to say, hey everybody, I'm just Woody the.
It's like the
Woody the
Magic
guy
Johnson of AIDS, but Tom Hanks for coronavirus.
Exactly,
Yeah.
dude.
Let me
Yeah.
let me read you this. Let me read you this, and tell me if you think this is a message from the CDC or a message from a regular human being. And I'm gonna try and take away names and everything. I've felt a bit tired, like had colds and some body aches. My wife had chills that came and went, slight fevers. To play things right, as is needed in the world right now, we were tested for the coronavirus and were found to be positive. Well, now, what to do next? The medical officials have protocols that must be followed. We will be tested, observed, and isolated for as long as public health and safety requires. Not much more to it than a one day at a time approach. We'll keep the world posted and updated. Take care of yourselves.
Hanks, Hanx.
Fucking all you have to do is take away a couple of, because he mentions his wife Rita and like we and they and everything. And, like you take away a couple of names, that's just a notice from the CDC.
Oh right, but the way he did it was like,
Yeah.
howdy do, neighbor. Like
And he posts a fucking picture of a hazmat fucking disposal kit with a glove in it. Like that's cool. You should see that on your normal
Wow.
fucking disposal
that's
thing.
his thing though. Like he always like has gloves laying around.
The
like,
Isaac Cappy.
Yeah,
The
dude.
fucking glove. The Isaac
So-
Cappy murder.
Oh.
The glove on the road.
I just-
glove on the fucking road.
I just like to me it was just so obvious. And then I was talking to Brett today, and he even brought it up. It's like just Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Like just like Ricky Gervais calling out all the people. It's like Tom Hanks looking around like,
Dude,
tell me that guy's not
The
complicit.
next post
complicit.
he takes is a selfie of him and his wife saying, hello, folks. At Rita Wilson and I want to thank everyone here down under who are taking such good care of us. We have COVID-19 and are in isolation, so we do not spread it to anyone else. There are those for whom it could lead to a very serious illness. We are taking it one day at a time. And he says that all the fucking
Right.
time.
But this
There
is
are-
us, just
there-
happy.
Right.
Everything's fine.
They are literally just fucking. It's a selfie. There are things we can do things we can all do to get through this by following the advice of experts, fucking experts. Okay.
I'm on Instagram. I see a notification. CDC coronavirus.
Yeah, right.
Run your
You go right
information
on
on
there,
it.
They want you to be scared enough to listen and obey, which everybody should. We're all just going to be on lockdown in no time. I know it's coming.
Right.
But again, is
says-
he
look at- dude, his
bleeding
sign
from
off,
his
his sign
eyeballs?
Remember, despite all the current events, there is no crying in baseball. So then he plays to the fucking league of their own shit, and goes right to that, dude. They on the pod you were talking about before. They made a great point that Australia hasn't had a recession in 30 years. J.P. Morgan had called for a possible recession in Australia. What better way to fuel that than to have a fucking worldwide, world-known A-list Hollywood celebrity say, hey, guess what? I'm in Australia, and I have this fucking virus. Australia hadn't been touched by this shit, and it hadn't been touched by anything. And now, they need to bring them down.
Let's
Also,
get-
you don't get any more isolated than Australia either. And then also, wasn't Australia just fucking burning completely?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, let's get
Is
to
that-
number 3.
okay.
Okay. Shut down airports and borders equals no escape for cabal. Earthquakes in Glen Falls, New York equals destroying remaining dumb hideouts and shuttles.
So no travel to Europe, except Britain. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah,
What's-
said it was
Britain?
literally no travel to Europe except Britain.
That's pretty bizarre.
That's fucked.
And then the dumb hideouts, the
The deep underground military bases. Yep, that's fucked. Those are fucked.
Okay,
Those are child trafficking tunnels. Go ahead.
Yeah, number 4. Capture, execute cabal figureheads and celebs swiftly without having to red pill the public, which can come later.
That's
after
where-
the dust has settled.
this is where it gets like intense, man.
Yes.
Like that this is all to just like keep us inside while this like crazy mutiny
Mm-hmm.
of just mercenary goes out and just starts like toppling over like the Federal Reserve and
So is
just
that
all
what you
this
think?
shit.
Is that what you think is happening?
That's what this is.
So I haven't seen
There's
this.
something going on. There's something so gigantic going on. That's why I keep saying
think this is
it's
it?
bigger than the virus, dude.
Right.
It's not the virus because people aren't.
Do you know anyone with the coronavirus?
Well, no, that's the same.
Do you?
No,
That's what I said
don't,
about
but-
swine flu and shit like that. Like the pandemic is over, and you like you say,
this is being
nobody
treated
ever
so
knows.
much more
Nobody ever
seriously.
knows anybody with the fucking virus. You know, with that
Yeah,
virus.
right.
You never meet anybody who actually fucking had it.
But even the people that are getting like Tom Hanks looks really sick. The Nebraska basketball team that was just on locked
their
up.
coach had the flu. Wasn't even.
Yeah,
Do you think
Wasn't-
people?
wasn't the
Is there any
team-
proof that anyone actually has? it?
No, the coach had flu
In
like
general.
symptoms. It wasn't corona.
Well, I'm just okay. So, but even the people that are like
Okay.
being put into quarantine, or like this basketball team was put into quarantine, so then they're like, I should double check this. I'm getting this like third hand because I just heard somebody else talk about it. You want to look it up real
You
quick?
talking
But
about the
I'm pretty sure-
Jazz? Or
No, I'm talking about the
It's about
Nebraska.
They got like
men's-
after a game, the coach had like flu, so the coach was the one exhibiting symptoms.
Ooh. Okay.
Okay,
It's like
but then,
quarantine the team.
but then I thought, and now you'll have to double check this, but I thought that two of the players tested positive for coronavirus, or am I getting that mixed up with the Jazz?
That's the Jazz.
That's Jazz.
But
It
that's
was
the
just
Jazz.
look the Nebraska thing up because
You talk about the Jazz.
Yeah. So Rudy Gobert, Defense Player of the Year, and now he just shut down the whole entire league. He mimicked the coronavirus, which is funny. A day later, he gets it. Isn't that crazy?
They're probably
They don't
like-
want people to mimic it.
you think you're funny, shithead.
Yeah, we're gonna say you have it. No,
Make an example.
and then-
out of
and
Somebody
then-
said that was like, hey,
Yeah,
you open
like,
yourself
yeah.
up to be the. No,
Yes.
Guess what? You're the
you're
one.
You're the boy.
this. Is it that got up? Got
Yeah,
up from the
he was,
table,
"Oh,"
and then
touched
like,
everything.
Yeah, he came back. He was about to leave, and he came back and touched everything.
How is that that's a huge coincidence. Like,
Well, because this is all possibly bullshit, and they're like, okay, we'll
Okay.
make a because that's what I was gonna say because they shut that NBA game down in the middle of the game.
yeah.
Like,
And then the star player Donovan Mitchell gets
Yeah,
it.
Spider.
Spider.
so that Tom Hanks, dude, that they're using these things that are so out in front that the public eye is on it, whether you like it or not.
The Nebraska
Did you-
coach, he was diagnosed with influenza A.
Okay,
And this was as of yesterday. The rest of the team was cleared.
so there was
So
no
he was
no,
hospitalized and released.
no coronavirus at all
Correct.
involved.
No
in that.
corona.
Okay, but the
No
team
corona.
was still locked down.
They were locked down. yeah.
Okay, so then my point is just shattered.
And
Because I thought it was like,
And they should have just kept them quarantined because Nebraska's season ended at 7-25. That was their record. They should have just quarantined them and kept them there. And just
Yeah.
trained them.
Yes.
left them there, yeah.
Okay, yeah, let's go.
Well,
Let's get to number 5.
Well, what's happening to this dude? Like, where is he quarantined? Do they have him like how? That's what I'm saying. Like, how serious is this? Was he captured by people in biohazard suits? How many more of the people from the Jazz have been? Donovan Mitchell?
Donovan. Well, they quarantined because at that Jazz Thunder game,
I just made a crazy good.
they canceled the game. Okay, go ahead. I'll finish real quick. They stopped the game like at the warm-ups, and then they quarantined the teams. So that's how they tested everybody. So that's how they found out that Donovan Mitchell had it as well. They quarantined both teams, and that's how that happened. Go ahead.
Rudy Gobert is like that big guy in Monsters Inc. because he gets the infection from the children, and then everyone hates on him.
Well, Monsters Inc. is just a documentary
Yeah,
about harvesting
adrenochrome.
adrenochrome.
Yeah,
it's
that's
fucking
yeah, that yeah.
Sully.
Shit,
You think
that's-
Rudy Gobert is Sully?
Yeah. Everyone hates him. Shuts down the whole entire game. I don't know. But number 5, 0% payroll tax. Extend a 4 to 15 tax deadline.
That's
Restructure the IRS.
April 15th. Yeah, read this one
Oh,
again.
the 15th.
Slower.
0% payroll tax. Extend.
But-
Is this April?
but they
April
did-
15th.
This
tax
is what
deadline.
after they topple the cabal. This is what they want to have.
Oh, okay. Because Trump did
Restructure
postpone
the
interest on student loans right now.
Fair.
So why are they restructuring the IRS? You think?
This is once they topple the cabal.
You get rid of the
And
Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Ace of Federal Reserve. This is what they want to happen. 0% payroll tax. We're taking the power back.
So you're letting
0%
people keep
payroll-
their money, basically.
Yes, 0% payroll tax.
That's good.
Extending the April 15th deadline and like basically what does it say there?
Restructure the IRS, cut off tax revenue to corrupt IRS money, funnel to cabal.
All taxation is theft.
Agreed. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. And then 6, draining the swamp operation disguised as a public health.
Yeah. So this like agenda right here, what's it called again?
The
What's it called?
coronavirus cover-up 2020. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
this is like is making like Trump out to be like just
a hero.
delegating
Yeah.
mercenaries.
Yes,
Like we're taking
yeah.
them down
Right.
now. We're draining the swamp.
Yeah.
But I've seen this. I'm just saying that's what this makes it out to be.
Yeah.
There is there's a few points. I mean, even if one point in there matched up, it's like okay, But event we talk event 201,
Dude, let
I
me
mean that
cue-
was lockstep
Oh.
fucking. So
You want me to cue that? You want to talk event 201? Or
like,
what do you?
cue it up? You cue it up. That's fine. That's cool.
All right,
I'm not an
I'll be-
expert on the subject, but yeah.
I'll be one. Just one.
I know that the event 201 was led by the CDC, also led by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and
Are you listening?
that's So what's been going on? I know one of the biggest points of it was the bastardization of conspiracy theories and to water down conspiracy theories and get rid of that. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay,
cue it
I
in.
know that I'm like,
Just put
but
it
whatever.
up.
You know,
Just put it up
to our loyal listeners, you guys got to listen to the Propaganda Report. I keep I keep referring everybody to this, and I'm about to play.
If you listen to us,
A
you gotta listen to
recording-
Tinfoil Hat. You gotta listen
Yeah.
to Propaganda Report.
I'm
okay?
about to play on Hell to Play. I'm about to play a clip from the Propaganda Report. Who's playing a clip from Event 201? So now
yeah.
this is like to set the stage. Event 201 was a global pandemic simulation
Right.
put on in October of 2019.
2019,
So
yep.
6 months ago.
1 month from
5 months ago.
like 2 weeks from the first report, or 1 month from the first report of
Right.
Corona.
Put on by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and world leaders with Johns Hopkins University.
Yep.
Bill and Melinda Gates, of course, who own the company that owns the copyright to COVID-19.
I also find it funny how everyone directs. If you want to learn more about the coronavirus, John Hopkins knows a lot about it.
Okay.
That's what my
so,
science
smoke-
teacher
I
said.
smoke
That's what my
pot with
science
Johnny
teacher
Hopkins.
said. Yeah. Who's John?
Do you want to... Who is this Hopkins character?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is like a clip from the scenario. So this is like how the scenario ends of the event 201. Okay, here we go.
This is what she says as she looks back on the simulation of how it progressed. Now, this is the thing that kind of scares me. Let's hear it. Clip 9.
The outcome of the CAPS pandemic in Event 201 was catastrophic. 65 million people died in the first 18 months. The outbreak was small at first and initially seemed controllable, but then it started spreading in densely crowded and impoverished neighborhoods of megacities. From that point on, the spread of the disease was explosive. Within 6 months, cases were occurring in nearly every country. The global economy was in a free fall. The GDP down 11%. Stock markets around the world plummeted between 20 and 40% and headed into a downward cycle of fear and low expectation. Businesses were not borrowing, banks were not lending. Everyone was just hoping to hunker down and weather the storm. Economists say the economic turmoil caused by such a pandemic will last for years, perhaps a decade. The societal impacts, the loss of faith in government, the distrust of news, and the breakdown of social cohesion could last even longer.
I mean, that is so...
And that was
Crazy, right?
That was their simulation.
That was the
That was not a
simulation.
news report. That was a simulation.
Right. So
news
is that
report.
does any of that seem far fetched? Half of it is
I thought
fucking
that was
prophecy.
Yeah.
It sounds like a real news report, dude. Like, so this
they missed the Dow. The Dow fell 26, so they said 11. They missed it. They way off.
right. So it's total bullshit. That's why I bring it up.
They went in later. One of the guys that was making the statements for the quote unquote, and they call this a live simulation. What the fuck is a live simulation? Isn't a simulation a simulation? A live simulation, there's either live or a simulation, right?
Yes.
You can't fucking have both. And they called this thing a live simulation.
How do they run this? I don't understand. Is it?
They literally had people like talk at the White House talking, and this is where my point was that the guy that they were using to make these points at the White House, while they were doing this simulation, he was talking about how you basically have to be a really good fucking liar and create chaos, even if you don't think there is going to be chaos, because it will prepare people for the future chaos.
Predictive programming. Yeah.
Yeah. So even if you have something like this going on and you don't think it's going to be as bad as it is, make it bad, because it will get people ready. It will get people, literally, this is what he said, it will get people afraid so that when the actual thing comes, they will be prepared.
It's funny because the Unabomber manifesto I was reading, and I was bored in class, and I read like first 50. They talk about this problem solution.
Right. Problem,
they create.
Problem
Yeah.
reaction solution.
Mm-hmm.
Well, class.
You brought up predictive programming, dude. Talk about like what's
So many movies.
What's a TV show that's had just an outstanding run, even though I think it's a piece of shit.
Simpsons.
Walking Dead? Or?
Walking Dead,
Yeah.
dude.
Oh. Simpsons. How about Simpsons?
Pandemic, like how many people like just romanticize like this type of scenario, you know, like
Oh, dude, there are, I work in we all, being from was the Midwest, it's a very rural area.
a rural area. I'm gonna go back to that, but
Okay.
continue.
And we live around a lot of people who are gun enthusiasts, and, a lot of people who like to pseudo prepare. I think a lot of people that we live around are pseudo preppers. They're not full on, but they're pretty close. And it is just like it is literally a part of my daily life, like going to work and hearing people talk about guns, ammo, all this other stuff.
Yeah, pretty conservative out here, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
we're all about that freedom.
Yeah.
Dude, the biggest cities around us, I mean, we got Milwaukee, Madison, pretty small towns in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
We got Chicago 2 hours south, but
Yeah, China
Even-
has 30 cities over 15 million
60
people.
30 over 15 million.
Yeah,
Yeah,
over
and
15.
65 over 1 million.
Holy
Milwaukee's not
fuck.
even 1 million.
Yeah,
So
right.
that's what I'm saying. It's like, dude, even if you go down to Chicago, which is a relatively small city in the grand scheme of the
Yeah.
world,
Right.
like,
Yeah, even
can you
Nordics, like,
imagine living on the fucking 40th floor and like how fragile life gets
Oh,
if the fucking
man.
pandemic is coming through, dude? Like
Yeah.
how much stuff can possibly go wrong? Like, so that's where I feel like us being out here in a rural area and we have space, we don't, every time you go to Starbucks, you're not waiting in line behind 60 people or whatever, that we're kind of watching this from the sidelines to a degree. It's the cities, but over half the world's population lives in cities now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right, because because I listen to these, and I've listened to easily in the last 4 days, I've listened to 10 hours of podcasts of just about coronavirus. No doubt, no exaggeration. And I'm thinking about this stuff. I'm hearing people talk, and I'm like, what the fuck is the fuss? And I think it is, like, I'm starting to realize, like, it's because we aren't living on top of each other, and we don't have 1,000 people or 10,000 people that go to the same Walgreens. Even though
Right.
I do know for a fact, like, Watertown Walmart out of fucking TP.
Yeah, dude, I was at the Pick and Save in Wales was out.
Was it really?
They
I
were
go to that
out
all the time.
dude. They were out. They were out of peanut butter, and you know what? They were dangerously low on napkins as well, which just tells me
That's
that
fine.
people are like,
They're
"Fuck
definitely
it, I'm
going.
just gonna grab some."
That's
napkins.
definitely a TP alternative.
gotta
They should just start calling it TP2.
But dude, how the fuck? That is like, dude, I can go just in too many different directions on this, but that just. Who are these morons?
I've been digging.
That our feet. We all need to stay calm.
I've been digging a lot of there's been a lot of social blowback on people who are prepping, and I've been digging that.
Because they're only
Yes.
feeding into the paranoia.
Right.
We all need to, dude. Okay, so we went out to dinner tonight. We went out to dinner.
How dare you?
2 hours ago.
I think.
The restaurant was busy.
packed.
Everybody was getting along just fine.
Mm-hmm.
It was very encouraging to like see that people
Mm-hmm.
are still going about their daily lives, dude. Because meanwhile, how many people are locked up with the cleanest asshole you've ever seen?
Well, guess where you were at that restaurant? You know where you were? You were in America circa 1980.
Right.
Because nobody would have even fucking known what the fuck coronavirus is or anything like that. And this wouldn't have been an issue. This wouldn't have been a pandemic. This wouldn't have been anything. Because you know what? Back then, people they weren't worried about like 2 people in Nebraska or 5 people in Italy, 300 people in Italy getting like infected with this. They were like, did my neighbor get infected? No? Okay,
Well,
status quo. Fuck it.
I mean, I could see the flip side of that, though, would be in 1980 when you had like 3 TV stations that to spread this hysteria and false narrative
Sure.
or whatever is going on would be that much easier, and people actually did trust the news back then.
Yeah.
Whereas now you heard it in the clip I played that like this is all going to result, and it already is, man. Like we've seen now the news exposed for just the sensationalist horseshit that it is. People don't trust the media. There's so many different
Outlets.
alternate media outlets and everything.
Wrestling, it's WWE, the news media.
It totally is. So of course they're so how many people like actually went out and freaked out and started prepping? I don't know, but one thing's for sure, all the major news networks put those clips up of people running out and getting it, so then more morons see it and then they follow suit, which just creates this chaos, and it's happening all the way out here. It's just so frustrating.
You know what's sad is that all that takes is for one jackass with a blue check by their name to go and clear a shelf, to take what was a full shelf, knock everything off the shelf, and then take a picture of that empty shelf and tweet it out. And that is how you create a fucking pandemic.
And that did
False
happen.
narrative.
Yeah, dude. In Brett's store today, this dude came in. He works at Menards in Johnson Creek, and he said that a dude came in and wanted to buy a whole pallet of toilet paper.
Holy shit.
A whole pallet of toilet paper. And they said, we're actually limiting the amount you can buy. So he would buy 4 cases at a time, take them out to his truck, come back in, 4 cases at a time.
He did that?
Yeah.
Dude.
TDK
Holy
is
fuck.
in the house. You want to get him a chair?
Time out. Don't we
We're
just
just
time
Put a
out
pause
the
on it.
podcast?
Put a pause on it.
All right, we're going to pause.
You don't like it?
All right, we're gonna resume here. We got a financial professional with us right now, so we're gonna take a little quick break. We'll get back to whatever the hell we were talking about. But all right, so Dustin, you want to conduct this?
Oh, sure. Tom, so we talked about, obviously the market has tanked as expected. They had originally projected the Dow Jones to drop 11%. It's dropped 25% since the coronavirus scare has hit. With today's announcement of the national emergency by Trump, and with the impending influx of money that will now put into the economy, what do you think is going to happen with the markets?
Well, that's you can get opinions across the board, but I think the biggest thing right now is going to be what happens over the next few weeks market-wise. The things are in place. It went down way too far, way overblown for the economy that we had and still have in place.
So there were 2 days where literally they opened trading and then closed it right away because it dropped too far.
Yeah,
Is that
they have-
unprecedented? Since like 1987, has that happened?
It's happened a few times. They call those breakers. It's based on the percentage. They were triggered today, but triggered to the upside in the futures market.
Well, of
Because
course,
they're-
because I moved some money.
Yeah, that probably did it. But right now, if second quarter is going to have probably 0% GDP, so you're looking at a little bit further beyond that. But some of the reports that I've seen have said if you can get this settled by like the end of April, beginning of May, normalcy returning, that we should be able to bypass and not have any sort of recession or anything like
So
that.
2 quarters of a negative GDP triggers a recession, correct?
It could, right?
Okay. So you think that we could get out of this without seeing a recession? Do you think
Yeah.
that's because of what we're seeing with the national emergency?
That's too soon to tell. That was just declared today. But this whole thing, I think normalcy is going to return. This is my own personal viewpoint, echoed by quite a number of people that I've talked with. But
When?
it shouldn't.
When will normalcy return?
Should return within several weeks, within a few weeks. You have a situation here where like I say, the economy's been going along doing real good. Nothing changed there. I heard and read that there are different businesses apparently that are hesitating about laying anybody off because of the fact that the job market is so tight. They're afraid if they lay somebody off, they're going to go somewhere else and they won't be able to get that worker back in time. The biggest thing is just going to be, when I say normalcy, it means that people stop acting so crazy. Hoarding toilet paper.
Dude, unbelievable.
Insane.
And it's happened all over our area.
Yeah.
Go in any place, they're
Oh yeah,
pretty much wiped
Watertown,
out.
Wales, freaking Waukesha.
Talking about it,
Yeah.
Buy some, you look like a hoarder. You can't even buy
So do
toilet
you-
paper
I got
and
some
be normal. Yeah.
So you can't even buy a 4-pack without thinking you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, that is where it winds up.
So do you think that what about like the drop in gas prices? Do you think that has been part of? Okay.
You've got 3 things going right now that have been in this. Biggest thing is the coronavirus, and the only thing I'm going to say, what I've said to people when they're throwing such a fit about this, they're canceling all these different things and all this sort of thing. And I say we've had X number of cases and underreported. Right now, there's probably 500,000 to 1 million people that have had it and already recovered.
I'd
Don't even
agree.
realize
I'd
they
agree
had
with
it.
underreported. I would have
But-
to agree.
Not about the virus.
But to be canceling all these different things, because of that, and you look at the death toll, you don't like to see a single death, but it's a very low death toll so
Correct.
far.
Correct.
This same time frame, you've got our normal flu season going on, and we've had over 22,000 people die.
Yeah.
Am I missing something?
This is all
the correlation here?
sensationalized.
Right.
It's
Oh, yeah.
fear.
So right now is the worst time to die from influenza A because nobody's gonna fucking
The
give you
Democrats,
just desserts.
the liberals have tried so many things. Russian influence, the impeachment, all this. Nothing's worked. They haven't been able to throw anything. The media hates Trump. They've been just railing every time. You don't see anything positive. If you do, it's maybe once in every 25, 30 stories or something positive about Trump. So you can't tell me that this isn't a gang up on media trying to drive it home and put a spike in. You had different liberal talk show hosts. You had politicians who were actually saying, well, I wish we would have a big recession. It wouldn't bother me at all because,
Bill Maher.
you know,
Bill Maher. Hey, listen, you're our money man. Stay on topic, okay, Tom?
yeah. Easy.
So anyway, I base it on my own clients. There's been no panic, nothing like that, and just personal observation.
What is this? What can you compare this to? Like in the past, what can
Financial
you,
stuff?
Yeah. What can you compare this to?
Oh, there were more solid things. The mortgage crisis was literally that. Mortgages. We had a little more than a year ago, November, December of 2018, a market that went down significantly for no reason whatsoever. And nobody ever was able to, determine exactly what did that. Other things have been, and that's another reason why I say this is all bunk. Every other major market drop I can think of, there were reasons for it. Market was not overheated, overbought. You use any measure that's always determined if a stock's fairly valued, overvalued, undervalued. We're not overheated. We're not oversold. Either way, it's stocks were trading in a range that was acceptable. And the whole thing is they're spooking and trying to get everybody to think that future earnings are going to, perhaps suffer and stuff. And they probably will. Like I say, for the a quarter or two.
So with
but
that,
should
do you
be
think
in
they
there.
were trying to crash China's market, like industrial market, to then crash our market, or what?
No,
like
the China thing. We've had the China trade is not a big deal. We've had all that trade war going on and everything like that. But when I said the virus is one of three things, the second thing is energy itself, and that's nothing to do with the virus. That's got to do with the battle because of dropping oil prices and everything, and the two big heavyweights in OPEC, Saudi Arabia and Russia, going back and forth and at it right now. They can't keep that. Neither one of those countries can keep it up.
Russia's been real quiet during this, by the way.
And then the third thing is just the interest rate marketplace. The fact that rates are so low, that's actually a boom to a lot of areas of the economy. And home building accounts for about 20%. The home market accounts for about 20% of our economy. Low interest rates like this. I talked to a realtor just before I came here. She works in the Lake Country area, and she said that 8 houses went up for sale today in the Waukesha area. They're all gone. Snapped up.
Today?
Yes.
Gone.
People
are not spending money.
right.
Do you mean by
Yeah,
houses?
so-
Do you mean toilet paper
And
warehouse?
now you're
Correct.
going to see money redirected because it's not going into, that's the problem, the old trickle effect. All these games, events, concerts, whatever. It's not just the price of the ticket, it's all the other things tied with it.
We were touching on that before you got here. I have a question for you. 'Cause, so school just got canceled. School got canceled till April 6th. So 3 weeks of school being canceled. All these events have gotten canceled. There's hardcore shows in Milwaukee that are getting canceled, and there's like 60 people that show up to
that's
these
a
things.
real deal.
So, what is it likely that are they going to shut down like the New York Stock Exchange, the floor?
There would be no need.
Has that ever
Why
happened?
not? I mean, but they're shutting down everything that is.
Yeah, but
And that's
you
really
don't-
nuts the butts, dude.
You don't
Don't
have
hit-
a huge crowd coming through there, and you don't
But
have
these
as
guys
many-
come from all over the place.
You
Some
ever
of these
seen
dudes,
Black Monday? There's dudes just bumping into each other all the time.
Some of these
A lot of
Exchanging
them have
cocaine.
been-
Yeah, they're nuts to butts on that trading floor. At least what I see. So and
a
these
lot
guys
of it's
are.
going automated. You don't have the number of floor traders you did.
Oh,
even a
Well,
year
really?
ago.
but still, how many guys do you think there are? How many people do you think are on the floor?
Well, let's put it this way:
Hundreds?
if they're saying we're probably between 100 and 200, and
And
they say
these-
if it's up to 500, you're okay.
And these guys are coming. Well, okay, and up to 500, but they're shutting down things that are smaller.
Dude,
than
Nora's
500. What
dance competition for tomorrow got canceled. That was
Yeah,
gonna be
That's
200
what I'm
people.
saying. So is this just to keep the people at home and like important shit like that is gonna keep going? But what if they shut down public transportation, the subway system? Could that happen? That seems like those are like the next steps. Is
Well,
shutting
I
down
do work.
subways.
I work at a power plant, so we do. We supply the city of Whitewater and the university with power, and we already have a contingency plan, and it's basically just like we have laid out who knows what, and basically it's just like if so and so goes down, next in. So it is like there isn't in any of that like, hey, we will not run the power plant. We will shut this city down. So if that is the standard, and we are owned by a company who owns at least 50 power plants throughout the nation. So if that's their standard, then, that's something to think about. Like, they are not just like, hey, if a guy calls in sick, we're going to shut this fucker down. Like, it's just like basically send them home and next man up.
Right.
So that's how that's going.
Well, and what I'm saying, you're saying if it's groups up to 500, you're good to go. But like, especially like the New York Stock Exchange, half these guys, they commute in from Connecticut. They can commute in from all over the place.
Schenectady.
So like, you got such a crazy mixture of people. I'm just saying, like, if we're shutting schools down and we're shutting all these events down, like, how could they responsibly not shut that down? And again, I am of the opinion that it's not about the virus here. I think there's a bigger hand at play. But what happens if the trading floor has to be vacated and nobody can show up? Can
They did something
business
like that.
still resume?
The NASDAQ has no floor. It doesn't have anything. It's all automated.
Okay, so
I'm more of a Dow
Don't know what-
Jones
don't
man.
know what
I'm
I'm
more of a
talking
Dow
about.
Jones man myself.
But I guess that was just my question. If if that would, I guess it would make sense that wouldn't shut everything down. But are they going to make exceptions for stuff like that?
Right. That's a great
Strange.
point because that's a lot of people fucking around. I don't know.
I'll
It's-
give this back to you.
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
And-
keep going, or
Yeah.
did you have any?
Did you have
I
it?
mean, keep
No.
going. I didn't
So-
mean to
okay.
cut you off.
Final thoughts from Tom Kluge. Give us your final thoughts on this whole
Yeah,
thing.
give us
your. Let's get a
This is
summary on what you think is going on right now, please.
I think this is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in my life.
Agreed.
There's been, you look at the different pandemics, you look at different things. This pales so far in comparison to them. It's, as far as I'm concerned, there's other forces at work, media, political, whatever. The end objective is try to bring Trump down. That's what it is, as far as I'm concerned.
You think? But
Which is funny because
that would
yeah,
be a worldwide pandemic just to bring Trump down?
No, for what's going on in our country. And, if you look at China, Italy, there's these things there. That was bad preparation. China, who knows exactly what was all going on over there. A lot of the deaths here, were in different, elderly areas,
Right.
nursing homes, that sort of thing.
Coasts and
Although-
elderly.
There would be one interesting thing I just heard right when I was pulling up here, that a baby was born and it has the virus,
Shut up.
which
It's AIDS. Now it's AIDS. Now
if
it's
the
AIDS.
if the mom had the virus and the baby was still in there, I don't think that's a stretch, But
I guess I don't know enough
Yeah, I
about
don't-
it. I don't know.
well, that's like I said, these next couple of weeks are going to be most telltale. As far as my own, like I said, personal clients, stuff like that, nobody's pushing the panic button. In fact, I get a lot of people commenting, that it's ridiculous, especially going to stores and seeing, this type of hoarding and that sort of thing.
Those are the people that didn't invest in 3M a month ago.
Right. Ridiculous until they shut school down. And now, like, that has so many. I feel like shutting school down, shutting these sporting events down, shutting all this stuff down has such like a bigger repercussion, because like now you got all these kids that aren't in school and can't go to school. You can't shove them all into a daycare because they're not going to want everybody to be in. Nobody could even handle that, for one. But how are these people supposed to go to work? Like, what's going to happen the next
how many
3
si-
weeks, dude, of kids not being in school?
Dude,
Like,
how
that
many
has-
single parents?
Exactly.
Dude, because if you're a single parent, like, you are basically working. Half of your labor is to fucking pay for the babysitting of your child. Because it
Right.
costs so goddamn much money.
And now what are you supposed to do?
Yeah,
Can you go to
for
work?
real.
Can you go to work all of a sudden? Like,
people live paycheck to paycheck. Like a lot of people do.
Yeah, a lot of
and
people
what are
do.
they-
yeah. Well, and you go back to the manifest, the Unabomber Manifesto, and
It's
if people weren't
systematically
people were made to not be able to live off the land, they have to live paycheck to paycheck and have to like rely on the system.
Yeah,
they couldn't
yep.
live on their own. They had to rely on the system. So when the system tells them, "Hey, the teat really cut them off the teat," then they become fucking hopeless, useless, and that's what we are right now. We're useless. We're stocking up on TP.
We need to realize
We're
like
talking about TV.
we're the masses and we can make any like the change, but people are like stuck in like a bubble of like mainstream news. But like we can like
well, yeah,
make
but
it like
what happens though when your overhead is that you can't miss work. You are literally paycheck to paycheck, and now all of a sudden your kids are home and they have to be home for 3 weeks. Can you go to work? If all these people can't go to work, can the business stay open? So do these businesses have to close? Will production slow? Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
That's the stuff
As a small
I'm thinking
small
of.
business owner yourself, Yeah, that the answer would be yes. If you put yourself in the situation you just put down,
Yeah.
the answer would be yes, and that small business would close,
Right.
and you'd have an empty store shop.
One of the other problems, I think, too, and I have just despised this for quite a while now. There's a whole huge crowd of people who have nothing to do, bordering on worthless or whatever. They sit around, they scour every little bit of news, they scour every bit of things put on Twitter or things like that. Why? So they can feel offended. So they can start putting
Yeah.
things out and saying, oh, this is terrible. I feel
triggered
this
society.
or that.
Triggered.
Yeah, that's part of the problem too.
Yeah,
But-
Unabomber manifesto. Self-hatred is a leftist trait.
Yes, yes, it is.
That's
Because
that's how they cope with it. That's how they cope with it.
because they
I'm not left or right. I'm just saying
yeah,
that.
it is because they don't have and I am paraphrasing here, not quoting, because if I had the book here, I'd have a ton of great highlighted points, which I forgot to bring the book again for you. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all right.
Next time.
It basically is because they don't have a job that fulfills them. They don't
Yes.
have a fulfilling job. They're doing something that is just menial and it's just fucking pointless.
It's all about the fulfillment.
It is, and that's why he wants to go back pre-industrial to like basically hunter-gatherer is because the fulfillment came in sustenance. Like you were fulfilled because you literally provided food for yourself and your family. And you know what? I don't necessarily say like we need to go back to straight up hunter-gatherers.
I don't believe that either.
No,
he
but
does rant in that.
Like that is it's a bit much, but I do every once in a while think like, hey man, if my only worry for the day was making sure my family stayed alive and that they had food and that's all I had to care about, I could be on board with that.
I'm pretty sure that's absolutely impossible to go back to that.
Oh,
type
it
of
is.
scenario.
It's
Yeah.
100%. It's 100% possible. But don't tell me you haven't thought that.
Well, of course, I've thought about it, and
Right.
that's why it's so crazy. I mean, I like visiting cities. I think they're amazing, but I also talk about being reliant on the system, dude. When I look at a high-rise building that's 80 floors, a residential building, I'm like, I just see the fragility in your lifestyle. Like, holy fuck! Like
It's like
you're
kicking the crutch out of
Yeah.
like a man walking with crutches. You kick one crutch out, it's gone.
And what's so fascinating, I think, and I don't know this for sure, but outside looking in, it appears that people that do live in buildings like that, you're not super close with your neighbors. You don't know everybody in your building. Each building is like a small town. You know what I mean?
you're right.
Like there's less community in huge cities like that. Everybody's on guard. Everybody's, and you kind of have to be that way.
Yeah.
But then what happens when shit hits the fan? How many fucking people are running out in cities trying to grab TP? And,
Well, that's the
and
thing.
shit like that?
If shit hits the fan and you don't have toilet paper,
It's every man for himself.
those of us, we got to hit the streets. But those in those high rises, you just got to hit the hallway and hit a fucking doorway. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like CQC, close quarter combat, man. I think that's why those people get fucking super paranoid because their enemy isn't hundreds of yards away. Their enemy is feet away, like tens of feet away.
Right.
So like they're one door
So-
kicking. Like
Yeah.
we're not in
I
not
hear
in
you.
fortresses out here.
No.
But we also have a little bit of fucking space. You know.
This is also, talking about all these sporting events, all these concerts, all these shows, all these gatherings being shut down, and they don't want these like herds of people all getting together and hanging
Taking
out.
shits.
If
and
you
talking to each other about it.
Well, yeah, there's probably some of that
Yeah,
too.
that's a
But
good point.
if you live in a big ass residential apartment building with hundreds or thousands of people in it, what does if it does come down to like a at home quarantine, like we have house and property. There's room to breathe out here. If you're quarantined in an apartment building, you're basically in a cell.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean?
Because
Like,
they even say to stay 6. If somebody in your house has it and you're quarantined, you have to stay 6 feet away from that person. Like, that's not a chance, man. Everybody in that home is or everybody in that fucking little room has got it, man. Like, you're donezo. You're fucking infected. Like, according to what they say.
yeah, this is just
Because you
super
saw
bizarre.
it with like the clown hysteria. Remember how much of a ruckus that caused? The clowns on the
Oh, the
streets.
random
Yeah,
clowns?
people were freaking out like, oh, clowns, like even though it's only happening in a certain place.
Oh yeah,
But
dude,
like they can
my-
create anything and blow it out of proportion.
My stepbrother stopped into the shop today, and he said something about that. Like, do you know how bad we could freak people out if the three of us put on biohazard suits and just started walking down the street? Like,
That sounds
why
like
would
something
you
he
do
would
that?
say.
That's
That sounds like the right
Sweet.
way for an execution on the street, man.
But-
Kim Jong Un style, which he executed the first coronavirus, the first person tested positive for coronavirus in North Korea got immediately executed.
Wow. But okay, so when I went to the grocery store this morning, one of the dude walking down the aisle, coming right at me, wearing a mask. And I apologize to this gentleman if he had like some crazy autoimmune disorder that he couldn't help it, but I'm just thinking like, okay, you're a dick because all you're doing is spreading fear because you know if you know enough to wear the mask, then you know enough to know that shit ain't preventing anything.
Yeah.
If anything, you're leading everybody to believe that you have the fucking virus. 'Cause
Bingo.
That's the only reason that they told people to wear a mask
Yep.
because you could possibly prevent it from
Mask-
spreading.
Exactly.
And
Masks
this
do not
asshole-
filter fucking germs in. All they do is keep the fucking keep you from sneezing on somebody else's shit.
Dude, and he was like, it was fucking 7:30 in the morning. Like, I'm honestly wondering if this dude is like, are you trying to like scare people or something? Because you should have seen like he's all frantic as he's walking around with the cart, like
Use
tweaking out.
Amazon. Use Amazon, motherfucker.
Dude, it
like
was
for real. Like
frustrating.
go
So-
online fucking online shop.
So if I can, I'll go back to like this. The Chicago Tattoo Convention was next week, and already as things are getting canceled, I was like, how is this not getting canceled? You know, like I went to it 2 years ago, and there was 20,000 people that walked through this thing on the Saturday of that weekend. It's gigantic.
You couldn't
got
have been. You couldn't have been more jacked after that tattoo convention.
Yeah,
by the way.
it was great. It's super fun, but how can you? And again, it's not about the virus, but how can you not call this thing off? You know, like this is a huge gathering of people in a gigantic convention center next to one of the biggest airports in the country, and like they were still gonna have this thing. They got shut down by the governor of Illinois. Just saying, like, you know, none of this stuff is going on, none of these events. So and then they make this thing like beyond circumstances beyond our control. It's like you guys should have called this shit off immediately. Like you work hand in hand with the health department of each state that you do this in. Why the hell didn't you call it off right away?
Yeah, that seems like one of the first things.
Dude,
that
it
would've
seems
been
super
called.
irresponsible. My whole thing is like I was gonna go as soon as all this shit started happening. I wasn't gonna go as it was because I'm like, I'm not gonna go and get stuck in a convention center that then gets quarantined and locked down. Talk about what better way to like pen up a bunch of expendable people.
That's like an airport with open wounds.
yes,
That's an airport with open wounds.
exactly. So I'm like, how the hell would they even consider doing this thing? You know, and now I just throw it on the floor, I guess. Oh.
So it got canceled then.
Oh, so
how-
yeah,
okay.
so it did get canceled, but
But much
that's
to their chagrin,
Well,
basically.
right. So I would just be so leery of traveling or doing anything or going anywhere right now because of that reason. I'm just looking at that like, how are you not looking at something like that as walking into a potential crazy trap? Like I have a family, I have kids and a wife. Like I'm not going to get stuck in a gigantic ass warehouse essentially because somebody has the virus, you know, like they could easily just lock that down.
Yeah,
Because this shit's changing so much, like not only day by day, but like hour by hour. So how bad is it going to get? I mean, it's pretty crazy that they have now canceled school for 3 weeks. They've put out
Well, spring break it was in place, but
but they're doing a week before and a week after.
But that's pretty intense to cancel the mind melting school. You know, like the mind control device that is public schools.
It's funny what people are
So
going to
much
do
of-
with their
Cancel
time.
that.
Right, but so much of society relies on school being in session
Yeah,
with
free babysitting.
exactly, and also
Basically, high school basically
is this
like a-
is this any coincidence that this is happening over spring break where people are traveling all over the place and then coming back and then like is that a coincidence? It's a pretty crazy coincidence, but again, it's bigger. If you're like set to go on a cruise or something like that, like they got to be shutting all that shit down. But if you have like a cruise planned for this week or something, why the fuck would you get on that ship? You could potentially.
Canceled everything for 30 days.
They did.
Wow, and there was talks that Carnival was ahead of this game, and that Carnival was kind of creating some of this because a lot of the Carnival, the 4 ships that had been docked or were Carnival ships, and there was just talks that Carnival had been built on a fucking Rothschild dynasty, but that's something I don't have any info on, so we don't need to get into that. But so there was something I wanted to say about on the heels of that Chicago thing, but I forgot about it. So go ahead.
I don't know. I guess I could just circle back around, hammering home the point that I was talking about when we first started. This is that what, and my dad touched on it too. Just like what major power has to come down to call off these just money generating monsters like March Madness, Major League Baseball. Like, dude, it's because it's so much more than the game, you know?
You're right. Okay, yeah, that was that. Thank you. That was what I wanted to talk about. It was actually a pretty good email I had gotten.
It
from
just
from
smells like fucking Slim Jim in here.
Sponsored by Jack Link's Beef Jerky, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Fuck Slim Jim.
You know, so the most comparable situation we have to this was in 1918 with the Spanish flu, but this was actually an email from our pastor, which I thought I had taken a couple of good points. Good talking points. I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on this, and he said that
Now, in Spanish, that would be El Pastor.
El Padre. Be Padre, right, Father?
I thought
Padre?
we were talking tacos here. Okay, continue.
I'm more of a Campechanos guy. Yeah, so in that situation, he said communities that practice social distancing, like he used St. Louis as an example. Social distancing were communities that ended up being healthier, that came out of that better, and communities that didn't, like Philadelphia, were ended up suffering far worse. So basically, what he's saying is just fucking stay away from people.
And how can you possibly do that if you live in one of these mega cities?
Right.
Because again, here we are in rural Wisconsin, like watching this shit unfold from the sidelines, essentially. You know, like we got room to breathe out here. But if you're stacked on top of each other and you do rely on public transportation and everything like that, how long isn't that the next step? Not to feed into all this, but isn't that the next step that would be shutting down those things where it are gigantic groups of people getting together from all over the place?
Yeah, because I can't help
not
but
gonna
feel not fucking affected yet.
Yeah.
I feel unaffected.
I feel
can't-
normal, yeah.
Like,
Well, yeah,
other
like
than
I
the fact
said,
that
we
Jackson, that you can't go to school and that my children can't go to school on Monday, I feel fucking unaffected.
Right.
Like,
It's so surreal.
and
that
it's
this
like
is
it's so
actually going
fucking
on
weird
right
that, like, yeah, when I look at my phone and every time I fucking turn on my phone, I see another sporting event, $1 billion sporting event canceled. I'm like, why the fuck are we doing this?
There's a bigger hand at play here.
Right. And what do you think is the end game for this? What is the end game here? What are we talking here? What is the end game? Is it financial? Is it power? What are we talking here?
Power.
It's power? You think it is power?
Is it
You think
toppling
They're
the
trying to
cabal?
bring a different. They're trying to get one group out of Washington. They're trying to get one group out of Washington and reestablish, as it was affectionately called, the swamp.
So you think this is to get Biden in?
All this hype and stuff, yeah. I said between the media and politicians and stuff, they're doing everything they can right now to give us the worst case scenario, because that's what they were saying all along. That the success ratio that a president has if the economy is humming along good. Well, our economy was humming along great, not just good, best in 60 years. So no, it's stuff there. It'll just.
Aren't we
We'll see how
overdue?
it does it.
Aren't we overdue? Way overdue for a recession, though.
Based on the economic numbers, no.
I had always heard that we were. I'd been hearing that we were, but I also heard at the same time that this pandemic could have caused the national emergency that would then put that influx of money into our economy.
Or
The
they would use this to put us into a recession, and this would be the excuse for it.
Much like a war.
Right, because that's essentially what we are treating this as.
So this is either This is to not have a war. If this is successful, then we don't have to have a war. But if this is unsuccessful, then we have a war. Is that correct?
This is 2020, baby. This is
In
psychological
2018,
warfare.
Mid 2018, you were hard pressed to find any analyst or economist that did not say by 2019 we were going to be in a recession. It didn't happen. They started kicking the number out, and all of a sudden, a year ago, somebody noted that put out a piece that said 5 more years, and now that was kind of like the norm. There's, nothing says you say overdue. You're not overdue until the, if the numbers on so many different things, production, earnings were going down, if you had interest rates going up and stuff like that, and the market was still doing what it would do, yeah, then it's overdue. Is it under the circumstances leading up to right now? Not in the least.
Yeah, I have that's just based off of, again, what I hear from whoever, just because they say this is supposed to ebb and flow, whatever. So,
Now, by the way, with some of this other stuff, you can do the same thing. For all these years, I've had people say, when they start talking about finance stuff, well, I heard this or I heard that. And finally, with some people, I say, you know what? Tell you what, honest to God truth, you tell me what you want to hear. Give me about 30 to 60 minutes, and I'll find somebody out there that's saying it.
Tom, this is the How to Play podcast. We only go off of what we've heard from other people. We say, don't look into it, okay?
that's it. That's an incredible response, though. I mean, you're absolutely right. Because especially today, you can find your niche of people that are preaching to whatever the choir. You can be a part of whatever choir to whatever preacher. So.
You are the choir and the preacher at this point.
Yes.
You can be the choir and the preacher. Am I right?
Yes. So.
Okay, so
Tell me what I want to hear.
Yeah. Tell us what we want to hear right now. Give us a rainbow scenario for this. Give us the gold pot, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
That there's a very good odds-on chance that this is going to work itself out over the next few months. Should be back on track. They were looking for, before this started, and what we were...
It's a potential freezing
I'm
cold
saying
take
the next
right
few
here.
months. Saying April, May, June. But I think it'll get... This is going to create a big hiccup. But I think as long as everything remains intact and the core and stuff, we were on track. Earnings projections from the guy that not earnings projections, the market projections for 2020 from the guy that I follow and trust more than anybody, was that the S&P 500 by the end of the year would be at 3,500, and the Dow would be 31,500.
We're going to give a big shout out to Tommy K.
How's his garage doing? Is it still ready for us to tear it down? Because we will.
He said you're invited.
All right.
Yes! That's it. That's all we needed.
Yeah.
Okay. So something we haven't touched on yet, we need to touch on, is obviously the sports aspect. Because, we all are...
What the hell? I walked in here. I thought this was a sports podcast.
We are
Yeah, it's
no.
not.
This is a very left of center, right of center, middle of the whatever. Not sports. We got sports, but we are challenging the narrative of everything around us.
That's a common misconception. This is not sports. That's just how we weed out the truth seekers.
Right. That's how we get rid of. So let me break down the fourth wall for you for a second. What we do is we basically this is a lot like Casino, where we talk about sports for a little bit, then the government stops listening, and then we start talking fucking real shit.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, but we do need to talk about, because this is gonna affect my life. We talk
Jackson,
sports.
give that take. When I said at dinner, what is ESPN going to talk about? With everything being postponed, and Jackson said they're going to be
Screenshotting LeBron's tweets and reposting on their Instagram.
Fucking classic.
Yep. That's like
That's what they're doing, because they
suck up.
just posted LeBron's tweet of wishing Anthony Davis a happy 27th birthday.
Yeah, it's not Anthony Davis, but it's LeBron on Anthony Davis. Yeah.
Oh my god, insane. So what do you think? What do you think, man? What do you think the season?
COVID in Hebrew translates to Kobe. That's what I know.
That's real.
And Kobe was about to expose this. They had to kill him.
Talk about the lawsuits he had.
Yep. Like, did we talk about that in the previous
Did
podcast?
we talk about
yeah,
that?
we
Okay,
did a
so
little
I
bit.
didn't touch
know.
on
I
that.
swear we
might have
know.
the
talked
Kobe
about that.
death. We
We talked
barely
about
touched
the
on
lawsuits
that.
on the pharmaceutical companies that he
Yep,
had.
yeah, multiple.
Mamba, okay. We talked about that. And then we talked about the fact that the day that they died was a day in the satanic culture where you sacrifice a female child aged 7 to 17. That was real
Wow.
on that day.
Oh,
I mean, we could just reference just sick ass tinfoil.
Yeah, we
episodes
could.
all
Yeah,
day,
for real.
I don't know. Should
Okay,
we-
but no,
Yeah,
but
Larry
what do you
Gators.
no what do you- like we haven't talked about the
Dude.
actual shutdown of the sports. Like what do you think?
I just I
Do
feel
you think
like
do you think the sports will resume?
when-
Like do you think NHL and NBA they'll resume the season, or do you think they'll cancel it?
Oh yeah, I think they for sure just resume the seasons. They might just take away the rest of the regular season games and go straight to playoffs. Would they do that? Would that be just shorten the season up?
That's impressive.
I don't know. They might just do March Madness in May or something. That could happen, but I'm not exactly sure. I just feel like a lot of people are fully committed to sports every single weekend, all day, every day. So I feel like I don't know what most people are going to do with their time
That's
when they
what's-
don't have anything. What are they going to do?
That's true. Talk about the ultimate distraction to looking into anything important is sports, especially the entire month of March.
But aren't
And
they-
so
I
much
don't
hot
get it.
shit.
Aren't they
It's so-
hurting themselves
Yeah,
by taking that
That's
away?
what I'm saying.
That's-
It doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
They want you all
There's-
focused on this. They
there's a
want you
bigger
completely
hand-
100%
Bigger hand
frantic.
at play.
Dude, but how would
I
that
don't get
how would
it,
that work though? That's what I'm questioning. Like, why by canceling these? What? Fuck, man. Is that just their next level of fear mongering?
Maybe it's like
Is-
these players can get it, you can get it then.
Like if there's still, yeah, I get that. If our heroes, if
Well, I guess you're talking about
yeah.
the most major of major corporations that are involved in franchises, the stadiums, who owns these teams, like it goes so far up the chain, which we've touched on before. Maybe they're just trying to cut it off, It's just a bold ass power move. Whoever this is,
just really going for
whoever's
gold.
making this call, I'm just saying it's like
like really
this
just
is all
going for
this is
gold.
all under the guise of a virus that's just so highly infectious, yet everybody who gets it seems to be fine within a matter of a couple of days. I mean, Tom Hanks is really having a rough time down there in Australia.
Yeah, he looks like it. Yeah.
I don't know.
I was thinking, I forgot what the project operation was, but it was like a totalitarian or like a
Totalitarian?
global, totalitarian, like a global world government. And this was like a kind of like a warm up for that. Like they want to make a world government to control everyone.
Yeah, I also saw something earlier today about a coronavirus vaccine that would be absolutely mandatory for
Microchip.
everybody, which would be an ID chip.
ID chip.
Which
Yep.
would then be a new currency, and everything would come off of that chip.
That's good.
My father's showing me a meme of Forrest Gump on a bench with a box of chocolates that says, "When you realize you caught the coronavirus in Australia, so you can't blame Trump."
Yeah, there was also like the guy that was like the head CEO of he was during the Trump's national emergency response
That's great.
thing, and he tried to do the fucking elbow move with Trump instead of doing a handshake, and Trump was like,
Is this the
"Fuck
Brazil?
that, dude." I was like, "That's fucking."
God, he didn't like it.
Like, it was the ultimate like white guy handshake. Like, it didn't go well.
How about the lady that was telling everybody that they should avoid touching their face, and then she licked
then-
her finger
yeah.
to
Yeah.
like touch
Yeah,
turn the
right,
page.
right.
Do you think these are the people that
Oh man, yeah, dude.
these are the people that spread the coronavirus?
Oh,
Almost-
yeah.
Check
Almost
recent health display
everybody. I
video.
was just down in Fort Myers. Virtually almost everyone that I got introduced to stuck out their hand right away. A lot of these people were, considerably older. So I think the general populace is not in this
they're-
panic mode or anything.
They're probably
Right.
all infected now.
There was a couple that I was introduced to, a man and woman, husband and wife, and they were, if I had to guess, they probably mid-80s. And the guy stuck his hand out right away and everything. That did that. I turned to her, and she held her fist up, and she goes, "I guess we're supposed to bump now." So I did a butt bump with her and took her by surprise.
No.
Right in front of her husband. And
You know what, I
that's
think it's-
how a dirty dog does it.
I think this is a classic Clint Eastwood move. If somebody like to not fucking to eschew the handshake is just such a bitch move. Clint Eastwood would just grab your fucking hand and shake the shit out of it and say,
Right,
go
bite your
fuck
thumb off.
yourself. Go fuck yourself, Corona. He's gonna shake that hand, man. Just think like that's more fear mongering. Fist bumps, Howie Mandel bullshit.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Do I shake his hand or do I just bump it? Well, with all this excitement, I really don't know myself. So I guess you got to ask yourself, do you feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
That's good.
God damn. That was terrifying.
Yeah, man.
Damn.
Very
That's
good,
so real.
very good.
Basically, shaking hands is like no different than playing Russian roulette at this point.
It's essentially the same thing.
Is what they want us to think.
Right.
Because all we
And also,
All-
when you make hand-to-hand contact with another person or like anything in general, it creates like dopamine in your brain. That's like an actual thing. And if you're
the joy
if you're not having
sparks joy.
Yeah, it is.
Well, again, if I can
does.
go back to the reoccurring point I'm trying to nail here, it's not about the virus. Like they're telling you, how do you avoid this virus? How can you what is the best way you can prepare for the virus? Wash your fucking hands. Get some sleep. Eat healthy. Like take care of yourself. Because this shit, like,
Yeah.
what is going on? They keep saying it's like common cold symptoms. It's like a flu. Well, don't compare it to that though. Don't compare it. It's way more serious than that. Well, is it? Why?
The symptoms are way
you're,
less.
You're
than
just
the flu.
telling me that it is.
Yeah.
But why? So I'm gonna. If everybody just calms down and minds their fucking manners, nobody needs to like get all crazy about the TP. That's already hit. Like there's no turning back from that.
God help those who have that problem
But
with the TP.
That's what I'm saying. Like what is that's just bullshit.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's hard not to even talk about it without being like, oh shit, that's right. It's a fucking joke.
I don't know what you guys think. I feel like you hit a certain point in this conversation, and especially things are changing so much right now. You just kind of start talking in circles.
Yeah.
Grace has already gotten pissed at me because I've just been basically walking around the house screaming the same thing over and over again. I will say I get kickstarted by somebody in the house, and then I go off, and then they basically tell me to shut up. They start rolling their eyes, and I say, wait, what happened here? You asked me.
Oh shit.
So anyways, I think we kind of
we covered.
I think we kind of got it. We might just have to stick a pin in this until we got our next update.
I mean,
Couple
I
days.
got all the time in the world. So.
We should just end this podcast with the Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, put
you know,
that
just
in the
end, like
end.
just make that the end.
Yes.
That's it. That's
Yeah,
it.
might have to.
Jackson, thoughts?
Yeah, take us out, Jackson.
No,
we'll
we're
end the
doing
podcast
that.
like
we got
that.
to
No.
we got to end with Jackson.
You know
Jackson,
that
thoughts?
I'm not going to sit around and edit anything. You know, I'm going to put
Jackson,
the intro, outro, and we're
You're
going to
putting this in right now.
Yeah, this is all going
It's
in.
all
Jackson,
going in.
thoughts?
I'll say I'm going to take it out, but I'm not going to take it out.
If
You
you
take
want
us
to
out.
see it, if you want to see our rant, I mean, dude, just share the podcast. I guess
Share the
if
podcast.
you think this rant was better than someone else's rant you've heard, share it with your local homies.
Dude, we got to thank KGB LLC,
Yeah.
Willie Z.
We got some
Yeah.
guests coming on. after
Regress and
everything
Way
settles, bro.
776. I think it's
Regress No Way 76, Out of Hand podcast. We got to, shouts out to all the loyal listeners.
Mikey Knox. Shout to Mikey Knox.
Thanks.
Also our 60 subscribers to the Hell to Play podcast that we have not even announced. We appreciate you.
We
Thank
need
you
to
so
announce
much.
Announce them right now. Do we have? a thing?
Also,
Is there a list?
Dave's got those numbers. I mean, on the actual Hell to Play podcast, because we've been putting these out on the Carp City
yeah,
feed.
right.
So thank you for all the Carp City
yeah,
listeners that are
much love.
hopefully listening and rolling with this.
Yeah, you're probably not going to
but
hear
yeah.
this because you stopped listening about 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, but we're throwing the episodes up on YouTube also. We got 3 solid subscribers right now. I'm one of them.
Probably another one.
It's just, yeah, whatever. They're on
It's
there. We're going to start recording this, but anybody who's listening, we appreciate
Appreciate it. We really do. Thanks, Tom, for dropping your many years of knowledge on us. Thank you.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling on till then. And when it comes to a handshake or a fist bump, just ask yourself, do you feel lucky, punk? Well, do ya?